The 49ers walked into Cleveland's wind tunnel expecting a throwback slugfest, but instead they controlled this game. Special teams handed the offense free yards all afternoon. The defense came up with stops that mattered, and the 49ers win in Cleveland for the first time in 30 or more years. We'll discuss that right now on today's 49K Post Game Live.
You're listening to the 49 Carats podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Sunday, November 30th. The 49ers had just one more game in Cleveland before heading to their bye week, and they cap it off with a win, beating Cleveland 26-8. That is the most points that the Browns have given up at home all season. And the 49ers do it, I would say, in a very complimentary way, but I think mostly due to special teams and the field position. Field position was the name of the game. Also, high winds were a big part of this game as well, but it didn't seem to affect the teams as much as I thought they would. And it certainly didn't impact the 49ers, seeing as how they come out of this game without any turnovers. The Browns, on the other hand, committed 2 turnovers, and that also helped the 49ers get into favorable field position. But in a game where, Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions just a week ago, I was nervous for this game. I was expecting Purdy to at least throw 1, but this was the version of Brock Purdy that we love to see, just playing risk-adverse football, taking what the defense gives him. He threw it away a number of times instead of trying to force the situation. This is the type of Brock Purdy that complements the offense best. You have so many star players. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to feel like the hero. And even when the 49ers were down at a couple points in this game, I felt like Brock Purdy played a really good, clean game, and that helped make the difference as well. But let's talk about what went down in this one and how the 49ers ended up getting their win. Well, to start off in the first quarter, both teams just end up trading punts, which is very surprising because I think we thought to begin this game, it was going to be an ugly one, just a lot of defense, not a lot of offense. But then Sky Moore just flips this game on its head, and he gets a 66-yard punt return, which puts the 49ers offense at Cleveland's 16-yard line. Man, oh man. I mean, that literally just that was the difference, I think, in this game, or one of the differences. Certainly the difference of the first half was Sky Moore putting them in favorable field position. So they start on the 16 there, and the offense doesn't really need to do too much at that point. They get into a 3rd and 8, but Brock Purdy throws a pass over the middle to McCaffrey to convert, and McCaffrey is able to finish it off with a touchdown run. 49ers go up 7-0. Then the Browns get a turnover on downs on their following drive, but that didn't matter much because the 49ers punted on their following drive. And it wasn't until a little later in the second quarter that we see the Browns get going because of the success they were having on the ground. This was starting to make me nervous, actually, pretty early in the first half, where we're seeing the 49ers miss tackles. Judkins getting slippery. He's forcing missed tackles here and there. And he's a good runner, like he will make you pay if you're not able to bring him down. And the 49ers just having a hard time bringing him down early in the game. And so due to that, they were able to get into pretty good field position as well, despite starting that drive on their own 4-yard line. They were able to get a score based on I think it was the Harold Fanning touchdown. Gifford was in coverage. Jair Brown helping cover Judy, so he was a little occupied, and Harold Fanning was basically wide open for that touchdown. And then the score ends up being 8-7 because they converted a 2-point conversion. The 49ers penalty allowed for the Browns to go for 2 points. So you're thinking, oh God, like this is not the type of game script that you were expecting, to where now Cleveland is up and potentially going to be up going into halftime with them getting the ball back coming out of the half. It was just not a good situation. But the 49ers did get the ball back. Let's see. It was like, I want to say a minute left to go, 39 seconds to go in the half. And the 49ers are able to get the ball downfield. Credit to Brock Purdy on that drive for just like thinking and dunking, doing what he needed to do. They converted a 3rd and 10. Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall for the first down. Jennings had a 12-yard catch. Then Brock Purdy to George Kittle for 33 yards. Very, very tough grab from George Kittle on that one, working through contact as he often does. But credit to Purdy, too. That was a really great throw. And so that sets up a 25-yard field goal attempt. And while it was doinked, it still went in. So the 49ers went into halftime 10-8. That was huge. And so I have to give credit. I gave credit to the special teams for how they were able to set up, the offense with the first touchdown. But to get this field goal, that was all Brock Purdy right there. So I have to give credit to him. I call it how it is. I mean, if Brock has a bad game, I'm going to call it like it is. If Brock has a good game, I'm going to call it like it is. Brock had a good game today. He had a good game and put them in position to go up at the half. You love to see it. And like I said, there were concerns about the 49ers defense in the first half, but I remained calm. Because I was like, Robert Saleh has to know what this Browns offense is trying to do. I mean, we could all see it. This Browns offense, very limited with trying to basically put training wheels on this offense for Shedeur Sanders to have success running the football, giving him, easy plays, screens, things of that nature. It was just very predictable. Like, you could see exactly what they wanted to do to help Shedeur Sanders and this offense get moving. And in the first half, it worked mostly because the 49ers just couldn't stop them. And so I said to myself, Robert Saleh is going to make adjustments at halftime because the defense had to make adjustments at halftime too. And that adjustment needed to be and was they had to tackle. It's pretty simple, right? Like, just get back to your fundamentals and tackle. And they were able to do that a little bit better in the second half. And that, of course, only helped the 49ers and what they were trying to do. So to start the third quarter, both teams trade off punts once again. And so the score is still 10-8. But then there's a turnover by Cleveland on 4th and 1. And so this is where it becomes big that the 49ers defense tightened up, because there was the 3rd and 1 and 49ers got the stop on 3rd and 1. But the Browns said to themselves, hey, we're going to go for it. Even though we're on our own 33, we got to be aggressive here. We got to go for it. They go for it on 4th and 1. And they try to go for a direct snap to Harold Fanning, but Fanning drops the snap. Luke Gifford recovers. I mean, even regardless, it would have been a turnover on downs if Luke Gifford didn't recover that. But just great play in any way by the defense. I mean, so that was the difference in the second half. The defense tightening up, just a little bit, just doing the fundamentals, doing the little things right, and getting the offense into favorable field position once again. So that was the risk that the Browns took, going for it on 4th down on their own 33. It failed. And so the 49ers gifted with favorable field position again, starting that drive, their following drive, on Cleveland's 32-yard line. So I think we know what happens next. The 49ers offense able to capitalize on that good field position, and they end up getting the touchdown. Couple of 3rd downs converted on that drive as well. There was the 3rd and 3. McCaffrey converted on a run. In fact, they go for 3 straight runs. I'm not mad at that. It's crazy. The 49ers started this game in their very first drive with like 4 straight passes. Didn't work out for them too much. Kyle Shanahan maybe trying to get a little too cute. But In this case, I think with the favorable field position, they knew they were going to score. They knew they were going to score. So why not go for some runs and see if you could get something going? So they go for the 3 straight runs. Then on 39, George Kittle wide open, finds a soft spot in the zone for a 14-yard gain. Again, credit to Brock Purdy for finding him there. And then 3rd and goal, Brock Purdy, keeper for a rushing score. I mean, I love that. I love to see that. I mean, that was we've never seen Brock Purdy do something like that, especially in the red zone for him, faking the handoff to McCaffrey and keeping it. He saw the eyes of the defenders, saw them crashing in. He crashed out. But this time in a good way, and he got the tutty. He even hit the Dougie after that one. We've also never seen this from Brock Purdy. This is what I'm saying. This is the Brock Purdy that we love to see. This is the good Brock Purdy. Just stay here, Purdy. Just stay here, good Brock. We got you. So the 49ers go up 17-8 at that point. And that's exactly what the 49ers needed in the second half, to just go up by, more than a score. And that would force Cleveland to basically have to throw the football. And with Shedeur having to throw the football, I mean, you feel pretty good about 49ers' chances of making something happen. So, yeah, I mean, towards the end, you saw things kind of falling apart for Sanders and the defense when he had to go into desperation mode. He's throwing it away on 3rd and 10. The 49ers starting to get pressure on him. Clinton Ferrell, getting the sack. He got 2 sacks today, actually, Clinton Ferrell did. He almost got a 3rd. Myles Garrett, hey, credit to Myles Garrett, man. He's been on an absolute tear, but I'm happy that Myles Garrett only got 1 sack in this game. That feels like a win for the 49ers. I was expecting like at least 3. That's just been how good he's been all season. He had 2 tackles for loss. We'll take that. There was one play where Brock Purdy just gets the ball out. I think that was one of the throwaways. Myles Garrett smiles back at him like, man, you son of a gun. But just a good battle between Myles Garrett and Trent Williams in this one. There were a couple of times they try to get Myles Garrett lined up across McKivitz just to get a bit of a more favorable matchup. But I think how the 49ers handled Myles Garrett today, having George Kittle help chip, having Juice as extra protection as well. McCaffrey a couple of times had to get in on pass pro. I think it worked out well for the 49ers that Myles Garrett only got 1 sack in this game. Hey, I'll take that. Okay. I'll take that. So yeah, 17-8 going into the 4th quarter. And then here is again where the 49ers special teams makes all the difference, because the Browns muffed the punt, and they'd been flirting with muffing all like this entire game. They had the other one where their punt returner, I forgot it was on a kick return or a punt return, but their return man, like he fumbles it, but he falls right on it. So the 49ers don't have a chance to get it. But that's just an example of them just flirting with disaster there. Darrell Luter right there in position to get the muff punt, bounced right to him. So again, the 49ers start yet another drive with really good field position, starting that drive on Cleveland's 18. And again, we know what happens here. But the 49ers still had to convert some 3rd downs. So Brock Purdy, this offense, credit, 3rd and 6, McCaffrey on a screen, converted that one. And we'll have to check on this one, but Kyle Juszczyk on that drive also headed to the locker room with an apparent rib injury. So he did not return to the game, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Now, we know the 49ers do have a bye week after this, so that certainly helps, but would be curious to know what's up with Kyle Juszczyk in this one. But the 49ers ended up finishing that drive with a Jauan Jennings touchdown on 3rd and goal. And once again, I have to remind you guys, because he's reminding me, Jauan Jennings has not pissed me off for a few weeks now. This is good. This is good. And it just so happens they've been winning those games. They've been winning the games where Jauan Jennings has not pissed me off. So credit to Jauan Jennings. Maybe the 49ers do extend him after this season for cheap. Who knows? But Jauan Jennings had a fine day today as well. So he got the 3rd and goal touchdown. They did fail the 2-point conversion, but I mean, at that point, 49ers already up 2 scores. It was 23-8, and that was kind of the ball game, except the 49ers did get a field goal after that as well. 31-yard field goal from Matt Gay on another drive where they, pretty much had to convert a couple of 3rd downs. Check out this stat. So the 49ers had 4 red zone trips in this game, right? And they showed this briefly on the broadcast. 4 touchdown, and let me just double check here. So they had 5 actually red zone trips when all was said and done. 3 touchdowns, and I believe probably ended up being 2 field goals, right? Because they did have 2 field goals. But 49ers red zone offense is suddenly looking really, really good. And this is exactly what we needed to see from this team after it being such a struggle last season, after it still being a bit of a struggle to start this season. I mean, they're really cooking in the red zone now. And again, you just love to see that. But here is the main point of this game. 49ers drive, their average start of their drives were their own 41. Their own 41. I mean, like almost midfield was their average drive start. That's crazy. That's crazy. And as I mentioned earlier, first time the 49ers won in Cleveland since 1984. And in 1984, Bill Walsh was the head coach. Thank you, Chris, for that extra tidbit there. Let me get to some of your comments here. I know we're all really excited about this win. Smash that like. In the meantime, let me ask you guys in the chat. Do you feel like this is like the best special teams performance that we've seen like all season? It kind of feels like it, right? Kind of feels like it. I think the special teams was their best unit today. Would you guys agree with that? Let me know in the comments. Let me get to some of these right now. Smash that like while you're at it. Yeah, finally get the win in Cleveland. It just felt like getting the monkey off your back. And also for Kyle Shanahan, beating a Jim Schwartz team. Jim Schwartz still has the advantage. He's now 8-2. Before it was 8-1 over Kyle Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan has the laugh today. So Frederick says, have to shout out our defense for stepping up. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They in the second half, they definitely tightened things up, made things difficult. Like I said, that 3rd and 1 that turned into the 4th and 1 that ended up Luke Gifford getting that turnover. Like that was huge at that point. And just tightening up on run defense as well in the second half. Credit to Robert Saleh. Credit to Clinton Farrell for his 2 sacks today. We're going to take a look at some of the box score stats here in a bit. But yeah, shout out Desi, Dub City. And here's another thing, guys. As we look around the NFC West and the NFC picture, the 49ers now sit at 9-4. The Rams lost today to, guess who? The Carolina Panthers. And Matthew Stafford threw 2 picks, including a pick 6 today. So let me take a quick look, actually, quick peek at the NFC standings. This is crazy. The Bears are in first place in the NFC now. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that? I mean, they've come in pretty hot somewhat recently as well. They have figured things out for sure. They sit at 9-3. The Rams now second place after the loss today. In the NFC, the Eagles are 8-4, although the Eagles look like just straight up pretenders. They play any good team. They just look like a shell of themselves. The Bucks are 7-5, so they're 4th. The Seahawks, who have the afternoon window, So we'll see what happens with the Seahawks after this. But they're playing the Vikings, so should be easier. Although you never know. I mean, JJ McCarthy isn't playing, so maybe Brosmer can give them some fits. They're 8-3. They're sitting at 5th place. Packers, after their win, are in 6th place, and then the 49ers are in the wild card hunt, but they're on the favorable side of the wild card hunt. They have the best record of any of the wild card teams, sitting at 9-4. And then behind them, you have the Lions, who are 7-5, and the Cowboys, who are 6-5. So the 49ers, I think, with these 3 games that they've just played, heading into their bye week now, did themselves a huge, huge favor in the hopes of getting into the playoffs. They have a really good chance. And not only that, like, I think we just feel really good about this 49ers team, how balanced they've looked. I mean, it hasn't always been pretty. There's been some games where the offense has looked terrible. There's been some games where the defense has been terrible. But you know what? They pick each other up, like, in those games when they've needed to. And I feel like that's a mark of a good team, just and that's what I would describe as complementary football. So I think the 49ers have a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. It's, it's still going to be scary, but I like what they're putting together. And yes, these last 3 teams that they've played against, they should have won. But those are the games they're supposed to win, right? Like, it's a good sign if your team can win the games that they should win. Rams, for example, playing the Panthers, a game they should have won, but they lost today, right? So 49ers are getting the job done, doing the job they need to, and then coming out of this bye week, playing the Titans. So once again, should be a game that they could win. So yeah. All right. Let me brush through more of these comments. JME says, Browns are number 2 defense. Special teams won us this game. Absolutely. I mean, I just really think it's the field position thing. It really ended up being that. And I feel like the 49ers' first score did a lot to put them in a favorable position, because otherwise you could have started this game trading punts, and then it would have been, okay, whichever team could march down the field first, maybe wins this game or has the momentum first. And yeah, I really feel like the momentum maybe was all for the 49ers after that first score, even with the Browns going up briefly, 8-7. I mean, the 49ers were able to recover, and it still felt like it was their game to lose and to still, come away with the win. I think it's great. It's great. Hey, Uncle Salty in the comments says, what a solid win. And yeah, we're buzzing off the Panthers beating the Rams. As long as they didn't beat us, I mean, I don't care. But thank you, Panthers, for doing that. All right. Rick says the 49ers had a chance to get 2 more touchdowns. I mean, yeah. And 26 points, like I said, most that the Browns have allowed at home this season. So credit to the 49ers for doing that with the windy conditions. I'm so glad it didn't rain or snow during the game. That was the biggest concern that I had with Brock Purdy and just his history, I guess, in wet conditions. But yeah. Yeah, hashtag 49K, guys. Special teams for the win. Uncle Salty said, I would agree. Special teams had their best day of the season. Skeleton Crew defense strikes again. Shout out Keion White, too. Keion White, yeah, had a couple of nice stops in this one, especially in the run game. Yes, got to give credit to him. These midseason additions have made a difference. I mean, and for Clinton Ferrell, 49ers gave up virtually, they didn't give up any draft capital for him. And I'm assuming his contract is very cheap. So the 49ers are getting a lot of production for him relative to what they're paying him. Huge win for the 49ers there. All right, let's take a look at the box score really quick. Let's compare these quarterbacks, right? So Shedeur Sanders, his second start of the season, 16 of 25, 149 yards. He had a touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. And if you look back and if you watched or listened to the preview show that I did on Friday, I pointed out he had like a league high pressure rate that he faced last week, and most of that pressure rate was attributed to self-inflicted allowed pressure. Like Sanders himself will sometimes hold on to the ball too long, and he creates pressure for himself. How many times do you feel like we saw that in this game? I feel like I saw it a few times. In fact, I would say maybe all of the 49ers sacks were attributed to that. So not to take away from what the 49ers defense did, but definitely self-inflicted from Sanders to allow the pressure to get to him and end up getting the 3 sacks. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, 16 of 29, so, kind of similar on the completion and attempts there, 168 yards and 1 touchdown. His average was 5.8 today. That's okay. That is okay. That is okay. When you throw 3 picks on throws of 10 or more air yards just a week ago, I don't care. Dink and dunk it all you want. And if there's going to be any game where you want your quarterback to dink and dunk, it's against this Browns defense, right? So again, I'm going to keep going back to that. This was a really good game from Brock Purdy, just where it was like he knew what he had to do. He didn't have to do too much. Perfect. He only took 1 sack. Like I said, that one was from Myles Garrett. That was just a gift. That was a gift. I mean, we're trying to help him get to that sack total at the end of the year. We're trying to have him beat that, be a part of history. We let him have 1 sack. That's it. Just 1 sack on the day. All right, and for everything that was said, especially in the first half about the 49ers rushing, and it was not a good day on the ground for the 49ers as far as efficiency goes. 20 carries for McCaffrey, 53 yards, 2.7 yard average, but he did have a touchdown. And I will say there were moments where running it made sense. Like even if you were getting 2-3 yards at a time, it made sense because I think the 49ers on many drives did have the intention of, or just thought in the back of their minds that we'll go for it on 4th down if it's like a 4th and short, just due to the conditions of the wind. You'd rather go for it on 4th and short than go for the field goal. So actually, like the run game being this very, death by 1,000 paper cuts, like worked out okay for the 49ers. I mean, sure, you would like McCaffrey to have a bigger run than just 7 yards. That was his long of the day, by the way, just 7 yards. But, I still think there were moments in the grand scheme of this game that it worked. It worked for the 49ers. And I did think it was going to be a bigger game from Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, though, had 8 carries for 26 yards, 3.3 average for him. So not that much better. But, hey, what are you going to do? George Kittle, who I thought wasn't going to be as involved either because I figured George Kittle was going to be busy blocking all day. Well, he was out there chipping, but he'd go and run his route. He wasn't always staying back to block. So George Kittle had some pretty good involvement in this one as well. Leading receiver today, 67 yards on 4 catches. He had the long of 33. Like I said, that was the one right before halftime. Great connection between Purdy and Kittle there. And I mean, you just love to see those contributions. And once again, as I mentioned, Jauan Jennings, not the craziest day either, but it did feel like a lot of his throws came in clutch time, where we've seen that before. Jennings suddenly relegated to the role that made him think that he deserved X amount of money, that made him think that he was a worthy receiver of holding out. You kind of see that when he's relegated to being this role player. He plays that role very well. Ain't no shame in that. It's not worth how much he was asking, but I digress. I mean, again, Jauan Jennings has not pissed me off. Good contributions today from him. 39 yards, touchdown. You love to see it. And McCaffrey also added 4 catches for 21 yards. Not huge involvement from much anyone else. I mean, you had Ricky Pearsall getting 2 catches today. 2 catches. He did have a target in the end zone, which, Purdy was just trying to squeeze it in there. I'm glad that one didn't get picked off. Looked kind of close, but in any case, would love to see more involvement for Ricky Pearsall going forward, but maybe this just wasn't the game for that. And then we talked about the fumble recoveries, the one from Luke Gifford on the 4th and 1 and the Darrell Luter one on special teams. So those were big. As far as the defense goes, Clinton Ferrell had the best game of any defender today. 9 total tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, just what a performance from Clinton Ferrell. Credit to him, big credit to him. Upton Stout, 7 tackles, a tackle for loss. Mustafa just looking awesome coming downhill. 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended. That was the one that was like the absolute duck. I mean, there were a few ducks from Shedeur. One of them was his arm got hit. I don't know how that one ended up being completed anyway. That one was kind of crazy. And then the other one just throwing against the wind. Ball ended up ducking on him. And then you have the receiver and Mustafa basically going for it. So they credited Mustafa for the pass deflection there. Keon White, as mentioned, he had a really good game as well. 3 tackles, but he had 2 quarterback hits in this one, 1 tackle for loss, and a sack for himself as well. So those were the good contributions from the defense. And then, credit to Sky Moore for his 69 yard, or sorry, it was a 66-yard return in the first quarter. He ended up with 69, which is funny because that 66 was doing some heavy lifting there. And credit to Matt Gay, who, even with the conditions, even with the doink, he was 2 for 2 today on field goals and has filled in admirably for Eddie Pinheiro. That's something that you do love to see. Now, I'm very curious to see if Eddie P comes back after the bye week, but that's a question we'll have answered most likely another day. Now, Kyle Shanahan speaking with the media. Let me see if there's any updates on the injury front, or let's see. Checking. Haven't seen anything about Juszczyk, so maybe that's something we won't get an update on until tomorrow. But yeah, I don't think there's any huge updates. Kyle Shanahan getting asked about Brock Purdy's Dougie. I mean, I have questions about that too. I mean, he hit a pretty good one. I don't know if I could even do a Dougie that clean. So, and doing it after you run your touchdown in, I mean, hey, it's nice. All right, guys. What a great win. What a great way to finish this show. And hey, we still got our afternoon ahead of us. Lovely. I only like early games for the 49ers if they win. So I feel good about this one. Hope you guys feel good about it as well. I'm sure you all do. Make sure you guys like this video for feeling good, right? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. Due to scheduling, where me and Weston's still trying to figure out what time we could do the show, our Player of the Week show. We might be able to get an early one in tomorrow. If not, we'll be on Tuesday. But then, of course, we get into the bye week content, which will be no content for for the rest of the week. So make sure that you guys hit that notification bell if you haven't yet. Audio listeners, like I said, leave a rating, leave a review. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Sunday. Go Niners. Peace.